tots i a totes,
Good
estimats
afternoon to
regidors i
everybody.
regidores, consellers,
Councillors,
senyor Fernando Macías, director general
Fernando
d'Igualtat, Lliure
Matias,
Tracte
the
i No
Director
Discriminació de la
General
Generalitat
for
de Catalunya,
Equality
senyora Raquel
at
Heredia,
the
representant de
Catalan
l'Associació Gitana de Dones,
government,
Drom Cotar Mestipen, senyora Sara
representatives
Belveira, la
of
nostra
the
comissionada de
organization
Relacions Ciutadanes
Romkotar
i
Misten,
Diversitat Cultural i Religiosa,
Deputy Mayor,
senyores i senyors. Molt bona tarda
ladies
i
and
benvinguts
gentlemen.
al Saló de
Good
100, espai
afternoon.
emblemàtic i
Welcome
de gran
here
rellevància
in
històrica i
this
arquitectònica
well-known
que ha estat
space
testimoni
with
de
historic
nombrosos esdeveniments
importance,
importants al
which has
llarg
been the
dels...
witness of many historical events. That's why it's so significant that we're here today to talk about the Roma Connect project. This is going to be a turning point when it comes to ensuring equality and empowering Roma women. Throughout this project, we have built bridges between people of Spain, Greece, Hungary, and Romania. We have strengthened our efforts. We have aimed at creating a safe space where Roma women can support each other, can strengthen their leadership, and face anti-Gypsyism, which still prevails, unfortunately, within our society. I would like to congratulate you all the Roma women who made this possible and who managed to build this campaign to combat discrimination within the Roman society and has had an impact in all your different countries. Your contributions had ensured to give greater visibility to the discrimination you face, and therefore you should be very proud of this. It is clear that your activism with dialogue and actively listening will enable you to defend your rights in your communities. The two proposals for today are the perfect space to start a cycle that will enable us to talk about transformation, to combat discrimination and to reduce inequality so that each woman can have the role they wish to defend. We will have a discussion, we'll listen to inspirational women who will share their experiences so that we can strengthen this dialogue and continue strengthening our collective understanding. Today, we'll also talk about one of the most urgent challenges within the Roma community, and that is hate discourse. This is something that we need to combat with strength. And you will always find our support here in Barcelona, in our town hall. We acknowledge diversity and we embrace it. We understand that interculturality is a pillar to ensure equality and to combat discrimination in a society where everybody can prosper. We work fully committed, leveraging all the wealth of our society so that Barcelona is a reference in terms of peace and human rights. Today, it's important to highlight the role of Leonor Roosevelt, the defender of human rights, who worked for the rights of those that most needed it. She was the main promoter of the project and the drafting of the Human Rights Chart. Her impact is still there within our history. She said, only through respect we can understand that someone else's height is the same as ours, that their rights are important as ours, and that their needs are as important as ours. And only by respecting them, we're talking about the right to life, to physical and mental integrity, to freedom of religion, the right to association, and many other rights, to give you an example. Human rights must be above any political discussion. And democracy is the only system that has proven through the years that they can ensure the necessary environment for social peace and coexistence. Discrimination, intolerance, gaps and inequality generate limitations when it comes to people's development and the society as a whole. Let's not forget that by collaborating, we become stronger. Therefore, thank you to all of you for your support and commitment. We have the power to change our future, and therefore, It's essential that we continue working together so that each step will take us closer to equality. Let's empower ourselves. We have the key to improve the world, and people should be listening to us. Thank you. Good afternoon. Today, we have also Mr. Fernando Macias Aranda, Director General for Equal Treatment and Non-Discrimination from the Generalitat de Catalunya, the Catalan regional government. Good afternoon, Your Excellencies, Deputy Mayor, Councillor, friends, ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, I would like to especially greet some of my colleagues here.
Bé, comentar-vos que per mi és
Firstly,
un orgull. Vull
I
agrair especialment a
feel
l'Associació Gitana de
very
Dones de l'Encotar
proud
Més
to
Tipena la
be
seva
here.
invitació
I
per
would
estar
like
aquí.
to
He
thank the
estat nomenat
Spanish
molt recentment
Roma Association
director
for
general
having
d'Igualtat de Tracte i
invited
no
me to take
discriminació
part in this
i
event. I've
us he de
been
confessar que és
the
el primer acte
director
que inauguro
for equal
com
treatment
a
and
director i em fa
non-discrimination. It's the
especial
first
il·lusió
time that I
com a
participate in an
persona
event as a
gitana,
director
com a persona que
general.
s'ha dedicat durant
I,
molta estona a fer
I am a
recerca
Roma
en
person
favor
and
del
I
poble
have
gitano i molt
been working
especialment com a fill d'una
intensely
dona gitana
to
que
support the
explica
rights
el
of
que
the Roma
sóc avui
people
i el
and
que
in
estic fent avui
particular
aquí.
the rights of Roma women.
M'adona me fa molta il·lusió
I
compartir amb
feel
vosaltres aquesta
very
conferència
honored
i
to be
també
here
vull
today and
felicitar
share it with you.
l'associació
I would like
perquè
to
sempre
also
heu estat
thank
al capdavant
the
de cap a on
the
ha d'anar la
association.
política pública a
They've
favor
been
de la població gitana, no? i especialment de les
spearheading
dones gitanes.
all our
Heu
efforts when
estat
it
a
came to
l'Encotar Més Tipem,
promoting the
una
rights
associació precursora
of
de les
Gypsy
trobades de dones
Roma
gitanes, del
people.
primer
That
Congrés
is the
Internacional de Dones Gitanes que es
DKM
va celebrar a Barcelona
Association.
ja fa uns anys
The
i per
first
tant també
event or
donar-vos
the
l'enhorabona
first
per aquest
symposium
projecte,
took
el Roma
place in
Connect.
Barcelona. I would like to congratulate Roma
Us
Connect as
deia
well
que
for
per
this.
mi és un orgull,
I
però
was saying that I feel very
malauradament sí
proud
que crec o
about
considero que
this,
és molt important que destaquem
but I
tres
also
idees
think that
molt
it's important to
importants que fan
highlight
que avui
three
estiguem aquí.
major
Algunes d'elles ja les
ideas
ha
that are
compartit
linked to
la
the fact
tinenta
that we're
d'alcaldia.
here today. Some of them were
Freqüentment
already
parlem de les dones
explained by
gitanes com el
the
motor de
deputy
canvi
mayor.
del poble
We
gitano.
often
I
talk
això
about
és molt
Roma
bonic
women
i
as a
sembla molt
driving
romàntica
force for
moltes
change,
vegades,
and
però no
that's
ens
a
hem
very
d'oblidar
romantic
que
idea.
les dones
But
gitanes
let's not
són
forget
un
that
dels
Roma
grups
women
dintre de la comunitat
are
gitana que
just
més
one group within the
discriminació
Roma
pateix
community.
gent de
They
la
are
infància gitana i la joventut.
the most
Segons
discriminated
les dades més
against,
recents que
together with
tenim, 8 de
children.
cada 10
Based
joves
on
gitanes
data,
d'entre 16 i
8 out of
24 anys
10
no tenen
Roma women
l'oportunitat ni
between
d'estudiar
16 and
ni de
24
treballar.
years
Les dones
cannot
gitanes
either
s'enfronten,
study or
doncs,
work.
a
Therefore,
barreres molt
they
importants en el seu
face
dia a dia pel seu
major
ple
barriers
desenvolupament,
on
barreres que s'expliquen des
in
de l'àmbit
their
de
daily
l'educació,
lives when it
com
comes
la
to
segregació educativa, des de l'àmbit
education.
del treball,
There's
on les dones
segregation.
gitanes
Also
literalment
at the
moltes vegades s'han de
workplace,
disfressar
often
per poder
Roma
ser
women have to
agafades en un lloc de
uh,
feina, des
alter
de
their
l'àmbit de
appearance
l'habitatge,
to be able
on
to
s'ha
access
demostrat que
any
4
job,
de cada 10
and
famílies
also
gitanes no pot
housing.
jugar o
4 out
comprar
of
una
10
vivenda pel
families
fet de ser gitana
cannot
o gitano,
access
i en el
any
cas després de
housing
la vida
because
com
of
la
the fact
salut
that they are Roma
o la
people, and
participació
also
social.
other spaces such as social
Afortunadament, cada vegada són més
participation
les iniciatives que
and
això transformen.
healthcare.
Però ara, en un
Fortunately, there are
context
many
polític molt
initiatives,
preocupant,
but
amb la
currently there is a
crescuda
concerning
del discurs
political
d'odi especialment promogut i
situation.
preparat
There's a
per
hate
espais
discourse
polítics d'extrema
promoted
dreta,
from
ens
the
enfrontem a un
extreme
moment
right, and
molt
therefore
crític
we are
on
facing a very
s'està
critical
qüestionant la lluita
point
pels
in
drets
time. We
humans i
have
per la igualtat de
to
tracte de les persones que
fight
més ho necessiten.
to
Per això un
support
projecte
and
com el Roma
protect
Connect és
human
especialment
rights.
rellevant perquè
And
posa el
that's why
focus
Roma Connect is
en
so important,
l'antigitanisme, en el discurs d'odi
because it
i en les
focuses
dones
on
gitanes,
this
no? que, com hem dit,
hate
sou el principal motor de canvi
discourse
per a la nostra comunitat.
and
Com a director general de
what
l'Oficina
the
Igualtat de
Roma
Tracte i
people are
No
doing.
Discriminació i també en nom del
As
Departament
the
d'Igualtat i
Director
Feminisme,
General for Equal
us
Treatment
volem
and
fer saber
Non-Discrimination,
que des del govern de la Generalitat
I
treballarem
wanted to say that from the
incansablement,
Catalan
ens tindran
government,
ben
we
davant
will
en
work
contra de
intensely
tots aquests
to
discursos d'odi, de
combat
l'antigitanisme
any
i
hate speech.
especialment hi comptarem amb la col·laboració
And
o
we,
necessitem la col·laboració necessària
of
de
course,
les
need
entitats
the support
gitanes
of
i
all
altres entitats d'altres
the
col·lectius per
Roma
fer-hi front en aquest
communities
tipus de
and
problemàtica.
associations to
Farem
continue
mesures
disrupting
i plans especials per
discrimination.
prevenir i lluitar
We'll adopt
i
a
combatre
number of
els discursos
measures
d'odi.
to
També
combat hate
posarem un
speech.
accent molt
We'll
especial en
also
polítiques
particularly focus on
antiracistes
having
per tal de que totes
anti-racist
les polítiques
policies
públiques de la Generalitat
so
tinguin
that
aquesta
all
mirada
the Generalitat
transversal ficada en
policies
l'antiracisme
have
i
a focus
ja
on
que estem
combating
a l'Ajuntament de
racism.
Barcelona
And given that we are
és
here in
casa vostra,
Barcelona's town
també
hall,
fer pública
um,
l'inici d'una col·laboració molt
uh,
estreta amb
I
l'Ajuntament
wanted
de
to let you
Barcelona,
know
amb les
about a
oficines
collaboration
d'igual
between the
discriminació del
Barcelona
mateix
Town
Ajuntament, amb
Council,
l'oficina de afers religiosos
the
i especialment
non-discrimination
amb la comissionada
office,
que porta
and
aquestes
the
qüestions.
commissioner
Tot això no
that
seria
deals with
possible
these
sense
issues.
totes, per tant, això
All
també
of
és casa
this would
vostra,
not be
us
possible
convidem,
without you
sisplau,
all.
a
This is your
fer-nos saber
home.
el que
We
necessiteu en tot moment
ask
i
you to let us know
per
if you need
res més que
anything,
tingueu
and
una
that's
molt
all I
bona
wanted to
jornada.
say. Thank you. I wish you all
S'estipenda i
the
més tipent.
best
Gràcies.
for this meeting. Estipend and estipend.
Moltes gràcies i
Thank
per
you.
les seves paraules a
Thank you for your
l'il·lustríssim
kind
Fernando
words,
Macías. I
Mr.
ara
Fernando
continuem
Macias.
amb la senyora Vero Santiago, que ens
Next,
donarà la
we'll
benvinguda
continue
per
with
part de l'Associació
Mrs.
Gitana de
Vera
Dones de
Santiago.
Truncotar Mestipén.
She will address us on behalf of the Spanish Association, Drumcotar Mestipen.
Bona tarda a tothom.
Good afternoon.
En primer lloc, des de l'Associació Gitana de Dones
From
Drumcotar Mestipén, volem
our
agrair per les
association,
seves
Drumcotar
paraules a
Mestipen, we
la
would like to
il·lustríssima
thank the
senyora
kind
Maria
words
Eugènia
by the
i a
Deputy Mayor,
l'il·lustríssim senyor director Fernando
Maria
Macías.
Eugenia, and by
Gràcies per la seva
Fernando
intervenció.
Macias. Thank you for
Volem
your
agrair
address.
a
We
l'Ajuntament
would
de
also like to
Barcelona
thank
per
Barcelona
brindar-nos
Town
aquest espai
Council
tan
for
emblemàtic on
bringing us
avui
this
celebrem el
opportunity
tancament del
to
projecte.
celebrate here
Agraïm també a
this
les
project, the
autoritats
conclusion of this
que ens
project. We would
acompanyen el
also
dia d'avui.
like to thank all the
Com no
authorities that
podia
are
ser d'una
present
altra
here today.
manera, volem donar les gràcies
We would
a
also like
totes
to
les dones
thank
gitanes que han
all
fet
the Roma
possible
women
aquest
who
projecte.
made this,
A totes les
this project
persones que
possible.
avui ens acompanyeu, tant
All the
les que us
people that are
trobeu al
here
Saló de
today
100 com a les persones que ens
and
acompanyeu
those
virtualment.
that are connecting online.
Volem especialment agrair a
Thank
les
you,
nostres valents
especially
companyes que estaran
to our
compartint
brave
les seves
colleagues
experiències
who will be
en la
sharing
taula
their
de
own
participants
experiences
una
when we
mica més
talk
endavant.
in the round table
Esperem que
later
aquest
on.
acte en
We
doni a
hope that
tots i
this
a totes
event
molts arguments per
will
transformar-nos en aliats
bring
contra
us
l'antigitanisme.
more arguments to combat
En aquesta tarda parlarem
anti-Gypsyism.
del projecte
Today,
contra
we'll talk
l'antigitanisme a Roma
about
Connect.
Roma
I per
Connect, the
parlar del seu origen, tinc que
anti-Gypsyism
remuntar-me
project.
al
And to talk
2010,
about
quan
its
des de la nostra
origins, I should go
associació
back to
vam
2020.
complir un gran somni,
From our
el primer
association,
congrés
we had a dream
internacional
come true.
de
That was
dones
the first
gitanes, on
international
més de
Roma
300
Women
dones gitanes de
Congress,
diferents
where
punts
more than
d'Europa
300
ens vam
Roma
trobar a
women from
Barcelona
Europe
per parlar
gathered in
d'educació,
Barcelona
de
to talk
formació
about
i d'un punt
education, training,
en comú que ens feia de barrera a
and
totes les
about
dones
common
gitanes,
issues,
l'antigitanisme.
and that is
Aquest congrés del que
anti-Gypsyism.
parlo es va
In that
celebrar el 8
Congress,
d'octubre
well, that Congress took
del
place
2010
on
i per aquesta raó
October the 8th,
avui, 8
2010. And this is
d'octubre,
the reason
estem
why
tancant aquest
today,
projecte
October the 8th,
en
we are
aquesta data
concluding this project
tan
during
significativa,
such a
per a
significant date,
nosaltres.
at least for us.
És un honor tenir-vos avui
It is an honor
tancant i
for
celebrant
us to be here today
la
with all of
conferència
you
final del
and to
projecte
conclude
Roma Connect.
the cycle of Roma
Gràcies
Connect.
per acompanyar-nos
Thank
en
you for
aquesta tarda.
supporting us and for being here today.
Moltes gràcies també per les teves paraules.
Thank you for
I
your
ara ja
kind words.
començarem la
And now
conferència
we'll proceed to the
anomenada
actual conference,
Discurs d'odi i
Hate
Roma Connect.
Speech and Roma
La
Connect. That'll
presentarà
be
la
the
conferència
next
la
panel.
doctora Lena Botton, professora del
Lena
Departament de
the
Sociologia
bottom
de la
will
Universitat de
be
Barcelona,
the person
doctora
chairing
por la Escuela de
this
Altos Estudios de
conference.
París,
She
assessora de la
is a doctor
Diversidad
of
Religiosa de la
studies in
Generalitat de
Paris.
Catalunya
She
y de la
also
Mesa de
works by
Diversidad del Consejo
for
Asesor
the
Audiovisual de
Generalitat de
Cataluña
Catalunya
y
and
ha
also
participado en
by the
diversos congresos
Audiovisual
internacionales
Council.
sobre la extensión
She's
de las
taken part
actuaciones
in
educativas de
numerous
éxito y la
events and
gestión y diversidad
symposiums
cultural y
to
religiosa.
support
Esta tarde,
cultural
fijará el
and religious
discurso
diversity.
en redes
Today,
sociales explorado como el reducir el riesgo de
she looked at
discusión
how
de discursos de odio
social media
y de
can be
incitación a la
explored
violencia.
to
Y
reduce
seguidamente también tendremos a
discrimination and
Verónica
violence.
Santiago,
And later on,
que
we'll
hablará
listen
del
to Veronica
proyecto de Roma
Santiago, who will
Connect.
talk about
Es
Roma Connect
dinamizadora y miembro de la
project.
Asociación Gitana de
She's a
Dones d'Urcotar
member
Mestipen y es la
of
encargada de
the
dinamitzar el proyecto
DKM
de Roma
Association,
Connect.
and she's the one who's
Comencem
been
con la
promoted this
conferència.
project. Let's proceed with the actual conference then.
Bueno, bona tarda.
Good afternoon.
És un enorme plaer, privilegi, un
It
honor
is
haver
an
rebut
honor,
doncs,
a
aquesta
pleasure
invitació des de la
to
Dromcotar, una associació que porta
have been
tantíssims anys
invited
doncs,
to take part in this
treballant,
event
no?
by the
Per
Dromcotar
oferir
Mestimer
oportunitats,
Association. They've been
lluitar contra aquestes discriminacions
working
de
tirelessly
dones, de
to combat
nenes i de tota la
discrimination
comunitat gitana,
against
tan necessari.
Roma women and
Les
children,
comunitats
something
més
so
discriminades, no? a
essential
tota Europa
and
encara avui en
necessary.
dia. Per
Discrimination is
tant, molt
still
bona
widely
tarda,
spread in
entitats,
Europe. Good afternoon,
doncs als membres de
authorities,
l'associació i a totes les
members
persones
of
que avui ens
different
acompanyen.
associations, and everyone here today.
Jo des de l'acadèmia, des de la universitat,
I come
treballant
from the
des de fa molts anys
academia.
amb
I've been working
tot
in
respecte de
academia for many
minories
years.
culturals,
We've
la
been looking at
discriminació, sí?
minorities,
També formo part d'una minoria
discrimination. I'm also part of our
ètnica,
minority,
religiosa,
an ethnic
discriminada
religious
i, per tant,
minority
unes
group that
coses
has
doncs,
also been
en primera
discriminated,
mà,
and therefore
familiarment hem
I
pogut
am familiar
desgraciadament
firsthand
no?
with
compartir
some issues
i que
which
canviaran. Sí?
unfortunately we've been
Llavors,
able to share.
el que volia compartir
What I
tot
was
el
hoping to
treball que
share,
fem des del Centre
based
de
on
Recerca
the
CREA,
work we
són una
have
sèrie
been doing
d'evidències,
at
no per
CREA,
quedarnos amb un diagnòstic
is
del
some
discurs d'odi, això jo
evidence,
crec
not so
que en
much
som
as to provide some
malauradament molt conscients,
diagnostics about
però sí per anar
hate
oferint
speech,
alguns
but
elements,
rather
alternatives per
to
superar no,
provide
aquests
some
discursos.
elements
I ho
to
farem, doncs,
combat
com diu
hate
el
speech.
títol de la ponència,
As the title of my
en com
presentation
enfortir
says, we'll look
aquest
at how
discurs
to
upstander, aquest
strengthen
discurs
the
valent que
upstander
s'enfronta, que
discourse, a
respon
brave
i que s'avança
discourse
fins i
that
tot
will
als
uh,
discursos d'odi.
try to combat
Com ja
discrimination.
sabem, vivim en societats molt
As you are
diverses,
fully aware, we
cada cop
live
ho
in
seran
very diverse
més, la
societies,
diversitat
and
cultural,
this is
religiosa,
gonna
ètnica, però d'estils de
be
vida,
even more so
familiars,
in the
cada
future.
cop
We're
serem
talking
més
about
diversos.
cultural,
Això
religious,
no serà
political
absent
diversity.
de discrepàncies, de
There'll
conflicte,
be
però
different points of
necessitem
view.
més que
There's
mai,
going to
davant
be
d'aquesta
conflict,
diversitat,
but
de
in the
diàleg
face of
i
such
consens
diversity, we
per
need
prevenir-ho i per
dialogue
resoldre.
and
De
consensus
fet,
to overcome
vull
those
començar doncs,
differences.
recuperant
Today, I would
una
like
de
to
les frases de Ramon
look
Fletxa
at
en
one
l'obra
of the
Societat
sentences
Dialògica, que ens
by
diu només hi
Ramon
ha dues
Fletcher,
formes
who
d'organitzar
said
les relacions
that
humanes,
there are
el
only two
diàleg o la
ways of
violència.
organizing human
Si en trobem una
relationships,
tercera
and
en
that
podem
is
debatre, però
dialogue
realment
or
quan pensem només hi
violence.
ha el diàleg o
There
la
may be a
violència i és
third form, but
tan
at the end of the
senzilla
day,
aquesta
is
idea que ens
either
preguntem
dialogue
i
or
per què no és
violence.
realitzable, no? De lo senzill
Um,
que és i veiem
it's a
tantes
really
mostres que
simple
responem
idea,
amb violència.
and
De
we've
fet,
seen many
els
examples of how
objectius
we
de
combat
desenvolupament
these
sostenible,
things with violence.
el 10
When we look at
específicament,
the
que parla de
Sustainable Development
desigualtats,
Goals, they talk
dins
about
d'aquests
inequality.
objectius de desenvolupament, els
Within this
ODS,
goal,
està incorporat el com prevenir i erradicar,
there is the idea
donar
about
resposta
how
no, al
to
discurs d'odi
prevent
dirigit als
or
grups més vulnerables de la
eradicate
nostra societat.
hate speech,
Des de la
especially when it
pandèmia
comes to the
ha
most
anat
vulnerable
incrementant,
groups.
trobem cada cop
Hate
més
speech
mostres, expressions
is
d'aquest discurs
increasingly
d'odi,
more
però també
present
trobem
in different
mostres
spaces,
que
but
combaten,
also we
que ens
have
ofereixen
seen
alternatives a aquest
examples that
discurs d'odi.
tell us how to
La
combat
ciutadania
hate speech.
volen, ens
Citizens
exigeixen a l'acadèmia
demand
evidències
from the
científiques
academia scientific
perquè
evidence
conjuntament, en
so
cocreació,
that
superem aquest
together
discurs
we
d'odi.
can overcome this
Només
hate
algunes
speech.
dades i
Let me
potser
give you
seran 2
some
minuts perquè no em
figures,
detindré més
a
per
couple of
poder
minutes
anar a
only.
les propostes.
I like
Les
to focus
dades,
rather on the different
fixeu-vos que
proposals.
fan referència
If you
amb
look
els
at
últims
data
informes
based
de la
on
Unitat
recent
de Delictes d'Odi
reports when it
d'Interior,
comes to
de
hate
Save the
speech,
Children, de diferents
crime,
institucions i
and other
organismes,
institutions
fixeu-vos que
such as
ens
Save the
parlen que la major part
Children,
dels delictes, prop del
they
34%,
explain that
estan
most
motivats
of
per
the crimes,
racisme i per xenofòbia. Els
34%,
mitjans més
are
utilitzats
motivated by
són xarxes
racism and
socials i altres
xenophobia.
canals d'internet, arribant a un 45%.
Most of the
I només una de cada
methods
10
used
persones víctimes
used
de
are
delictes
social
d'odi
media.
denuncia. I ens hem de preguntar per què hi ha aquesta por de denunciar, per
And
què no se
only
senten
1 out
segures,
of
què estem
10
fent com a societat,
victims
que no
report
se
those
senten
crimes. And we should be
amb
wondering
prou acompanyament
how
per poder
come
denunciar.
that so few people
D'aquests grups
report
que
these
pateixen delictes
crimes.
d'odi, un altre
Uh,
afegit, no?
hate
Aquesta
speech
interseccionalitat, els més
victims,
joves
well, if we
constitueixen
look at
el
this group,
12% de la més del 12% de
uh,
la població que pateix
12.6%
incidents
account
originats per
for the
delictes
youngest
d'odi.
people.
Aquests menors estan entrant a les
They are
xarxes, a
underage,
internet,
they
no,
use
no hi
social
entrem en
media.
absolut aquest debat si mòbil sí o mòbil no, això competeix a les famílies,
Let's
a
not
ningú
talk so
més,
much about whether children should have
però
access
és
to a
un
mobile
fet
phone or
que hi
not,
són
but
i per tant
the
els hem
fact is that they
d'acompanyar
have access to
perquè
social
tinguin
media,
eines
and therefore we should
per no ser
support them
assetjats ni violentats.
so that they can
Les
not
estratègies del discurs
be
d'odi
harassed or groomed or
segueixen,
victims
en resum, sí,
of hate
un fenomen
speech.
de deshumanització. Sí? Us
There
afegirem dos
is a
exemples,
dehumanization phenomenon,
sortint del que és pròpiament de comunitat gitana, quan ens parlen de menes,
especially
sí?
when we talk
És una forma de deshumanitzar. Un mena és un menor estranger
about
que no té
Roma
xarxa i per tant encara
communities.
és més
They
vulnerable.
use certain
Però
terms
li hem
to
tret
refer
no, aquesta
to
categoria
underage
humana. No? Una altra notícia que hi
youngsters.
ha aquí, no parla de comunitat gitana, però tothom
There's
entén
another
que
piece
és
of news
comunitat
here.
gitana quan
They
parla de
don't talk
clans i
about
agafa
Roma people
un
as such,
concepte
but they talk
propi de
about
la màfia,
clans.
no de la comunitat
And
gitana. Sí?
they
És una forma
adopt
de
a concept that
deshumanitzar,
is
és
being
una
used by the
estratègia
mafia
pròpia
actually
dels discursos
to
d'odi.
talk about
La
Roma people.
confrontació
And that's
constant del
another way of
nosaltres i ells.
dehumanizing
Sí?
this community.
Eh,
And
o
the
acceptar
whole discourse about
narratius
us and
inacceptables. A
them.
vegades la contranarrativa vol donar resposta i el que
And
acaba és reproduint no? O donant ales en aquest discurs d'odi. Moltes vegades, per
even
exemple, aquí
sometimes
posàvem
when we try to
un
combat
exemple, quan algú diu el
racism,
problema de la immigració i algú des de la
we end up
contranarrativa intenta contestar. No, no,
um,
si ja partim que la
negatively
immigració és un
impacting
problema,
our
estem
efforts.
acceptant un marc inacceptable. Sí? No podem acceptar
We somehow seem to
aquests
be
inicis
accepting
de
this
debat.
discrimination where it should never happen.
La violència a la xarxa, fixeu-vos,
Violence in
quan
social
parlem
media,
d'assetjament escolar i motivat
especially when we talk
també per
about
racisme, es
harassment at
dona online
schools
i
and
offline. Per
racism,
tant,
this
ha d'haver un
often takes
treball
place
tant fora
online
com a dins de
and
la xarxa. La
offline.
xarxa no fa més que amplificar
The social media
aquest fenomen.
only
Bullying,
amplify this
l'assetjament, ja un de
phenomenon.
cada 5 menors en
Bullying,
pateix,
harassment,
i de
1 out of
ciberassetjament un de cada
5
3. Sí?
underage
S'intensifica, però hi és a
youngsters
fora i a
are
dins. Per tant, el
victims
treball
of bullying.
ha de ser per les dues
Therefore,
bandes.
we should work both
I per què
online and outside,
aquestes víctimes que
offline, to
pateixen
combat
aquests percentatges que hem vist
discrimination.
tan elevats
Why is there such a high percentage of
no
victims,
denuncien,
and
no
why
s'atreveixen, no
don't
se senten
they
acompanyats?
dare
Sí? No
to
denunciar
report these
dona
crimes?
impunitat als agressors. Sí?
By not
Però per què
reporting
no es
them,
comunica?
they
Des de les
give
evidències
impunity
científiques, des
to the
d'aquesta revisió
aggressors.
de la literatura
We've
científica,
looked at scientific
eh,
evidence,
és important que parlem justament
and
d'aquesta
it's
persona
important
upstander,
to
sí? De
talk
passar,
about
perdó, d'un
the
espectador
upstander
a
discourse
passar a una persona
uh,
activa que es
and the fact
posiciona
of going
de
between
forma
being a
valenta i aquí ho he
bystander and then
subratllat, no
becoming an
violenta.
upstander,
I
someone
subratllo el
who
no
is
violenta perquè de
brave
contranarrativa en
but
trobarem que
not
també entra
violent.
dins de l'espiral de violència i entra a
Because when it
l'insult,
comes to
entra a la difamació i entra al
disrupting
desprestigi. Això no és una
discrimination,
resposta upstander i no
there
és una
could be
resposta efectiva
a violent
realment contra
response, and
el
that's not the
discurs d'odi.
appropriate one
Per
when
tant,
we wish
aquesta
to combat
upstander, que és el que volem
discrimination.
promoure,
An
pren
upstander, and
posicionament,
the upstander
dona suport
discourse is
a
someone
les
who
víctimes de violència
takes
i de
a
discurs d'odi,
stand, who
a les
supports
persones que
violent
defensen aquestes
victims,
víctimes, ho
and who
fa de
supports
forma
the
activa,
victims'
valenta i no
defenders.
violenta.
They do this actively,
Es pot
bravely,
donar des
but in a
d'un suport
non-violent
privat,
manner.
per
This could be
exemple, que és
done
el que és més habitual, per
uh,
por a les
anonymously
represàlies,
or
com pot
privately
ser, i és molt important,
in
pot
fear
ser
of
una denúncia a
retaliation.
través els propis mecanismes que les plataformes estableixen, des de
There are
Twitter, des
ways to
d'Instagram, etc. Sí? Tenen
report
les
a
seves
crime,
mecanismes per
and
denunciar, és una forma de donar suport
an
important
upstander could
i
use
també es pot
any
fer de
mechanism
forma
such as
pública. I això
Twitter
ja són
or
molt
other social
rellevants.
media, or they can do
Però hem
it
de veure com també
openly.
podem fer-ho de forma pública, com
And
incrementem.
we need to look
La
at
comunitat
how we
científica ens
can do
estan
this.
dient
The
la importància
scientific
que té
community
crear
tells us
comunitat, crear
it's
xarxa, que és una
important
mica el que també
to
el projecte,
develop a
avui que és
community
la
and,
cluenda,
and build
ha volgut
networks.
contribuir en crear
And
xarxa i
the aim, in
en
fact,
identificar la importància
of Roma
d'aquesta
Connect was
xarxa,
to
d'aquesta
establish
comunitat,
this network
per
and this
combatre.
community
Quan hi
in
ha
order
xarxa,
to
quan hi ha
combat
comunitat, quan és
discrimination.
visible
Whenever there is a
aquesta
network, a
denúncia,
community,
serveix com a exemple
and
per
we see
altres usuaris.
there's a crime
El
committed,
posicionament
this can
convida
support other
a altres
users.
a també
And
posicionar-se.
by
No
explaining and
fer-ho
giving
visible
visibility, we encourage
permet
others to
condonar
take a stand.
aquest
And if there
racisme
is
o
no
xenofòbia
visibility, we
i causa
could
l'efecte
condone
contrari. De fet, una
xenophobia and
enquesta a
racism.
Alemanya molt recent ens parlava
In
com
Germany,
el 40% de la
recently,
població havia
they
estat
were
en
saying
algun
that
moment testimoni
40% of the
del discurs
population
d'odi, o
at
en
some
primera
point
persona
was a
o havia
witness
vist
to
en
hate
altres
speech,
persones. I d'entre
either
ells,
because they experienced
aquest 40, el
themselves or they saw
73%
it in
eren
someone
joves,
else. And
entre edats
73%
compreses
of
entre 18 i
those
24 anys.
who
Per tant,
witnessed
tornem a parlar
hate
de la
speech
enorme
were
vulnerabilitat d'aquest
youngsters
grup.
aged
La
between
majoria
18 and 24
admet que
years.
no respon
Most
per desconeixement de
responded
com actuar
that
amb seguretat. Sí?
they did
Per
not
tant, aquí
know
tenim
how
un
to
repte important
respond
de com
safely
donar
in the
confiança,
face of
seguretat
this violence.
en aquestes víctimes i els que protegeixen les víctimes.
Therefore, there
Per
is
què hi
the
ha vocació
safety issue when
intervenir
it
o no?
comes to
Sí?
protecting the victims. Why are we
Seguint les
wondering whether
evidències
to
de la
intervene or
violència
not?
de gènere aïlladora,
We've looked at
ens assenyala com el
different
40%
types
de
of
la població
ens
ens diu
that one
que
that
no ajuda per por a les
isolates,
represàlies.
and we've
Sí?
seen that 40% of the
El
population
40%.
does not react
No és
because
per
they
falta de
fear
compromís, no és per
retaliation. It's
falta
not because they
d'empatia,
are
és per
not
por a
committed
les
or they have no
represàlies.
empathy, simply because they fear
Des de
retaliation.
dos projectes, un és
There
aquest
are
el
two
RECO i l'altre és
projects,
RIALAP, ara us explico molt
Al
breument, són
Greco and
projectes
Riala.
europeus liderats per
These are two
l'Observatori
European
Espanyol
projects by
del racisme i la xenofòbia
the
del
Spanish
Ministeri.
Observatory for
Vam voler
to
treballar,
combat
no quedar-nos amb un diagnòstic
xenophobia,
i voler identificar en aquest
and
discurs d'odi quins
we
discursos
looked at
upstanders ja existien
the
per
hate
donar-los
speech
visibilitat, per dotar-los
and
d'eines
what
més
sort of
efectives
upstander
en la seva
discourses
visibilització,
existed
sí? I
already
combaten el discurs
in order
d'odi.
to provide
De
greater
fet, en la
visibility.
segona part es van voler enfortir aquestes estratègies de discurs
We looked at
upstander
how to
que
strengthen
permetien combatre.
upstander
Aquest
discourse
discurs upstander
strategies. This type of discourse
aquest discurs upstander es dona tant des de la contranarrativa, aquella que
can be
respon,
used as the
com des de la
counter
narrativa
narrative
alternativa, aquella que s'avança
or
al
the
discurs
alternative
d'odi. Totes
narrative
dues
that
són
will try
molt
to
rellevants.
anticipate any sort of
I en
discrimination, and
aquestes
both
influeix
options are very
moltíssimes
valid.
interaccions
And
socialitzadores que
here,
tinguem tant fora de la
social
xarxa com a
interactions
dins
are very
de la
important,
xarxa.
both
Seran fonamentals.
in social media and
Per tant,
offline.
hem d'enfortir aquesta
We
comunitat,
must
hem de
therefore
protegir a qui
strengthen
està
this
protegint
community. We must
amb
protect
normes, per tant, és
those that
necessari,
are
com ja
protecting with
existeixen
regulations.
normes, legislació que
There are
en relació a la
regulations,
violència de gènere aïlladora,
laws
necessitem també normes,
which
legislació
protect
que
against gender
protegeixi aquesta
violence. Therefore,
violència
we need to
aïlladora cap a
protect
aquests altres
against
grups
any
vulnerables.
violence against any
Necessitem
vulnerable groups that
contranarratives
feel isolated,
constructives i,
and
per
we
tant,
also need
des
counter
de
narratives
les
that are
evidències s'ha volgut
constructive.
oferir
Based on
eines
the evidence, we
en
have
els
aimed at providing
ciberactivistes, en aquests
different
usuaris
tools for
de xarxes,
cyber activists
per entrar en un
who,
clima més deliberatiu, no
within the
entrar
social
a
media,
l'insult,
have a
no entrar a
more
visibilitzar el discurs d'odi, en tenir
non-violent
sempre un
approach
to valent, però un to
to
positiu,
have
constructiu, i
a
tenir un llenguatge
constructive
atractiu.
approach,
Sí?
a brave one.
Fixeu-vos
This
un
is what
discurs
we have been
upstander,
working on. When we look at
seria
an
un discurs
upstander
com
discourse,
aquesta Premi Nobel de Literatura,
it would
Selma
be
Lagerlöf, és una de les
similar
poques
to
premis dones de literatura.
what was
Ella
promoted
a més de
by
ser Premi Nobel, es va
um,
posicionar durant el
Selma
nazisme
Lagerlöf, a
a
Nobel
contribuir a
Prize
salvar vides
awardee.
de persones jueves,
She opposed
gitanes,
Nazism. She
intel·lectuals
supported
contra el règim,
Jewish
inclús
women,
posteriorment durant la
intellectuals
invasió
who
soviètica.
were against the
De fet,
regime.
inclús va arribar a subestar el seu Nobel per
Even
ajudar a la
during the
resistència a combatre
Soviet invasion, she tried to
aquesta
auction
violència.
her award
I això és un
to combat
posicionament
this type
clar,
of
valent i
violence.
des de la no
This is a
violència.
very brave
Ah,
positioning.
espera, com vaig, perdó, no em vull passar. Salto algunes coses, sí? Alguns resultats analitzant la xarxa de l'antic Twitter
Analyzed
X, sí?
data
Els
from
posts que més
Twitter or
impactes van
former
rebre, i
Twitter,
quan dic més impactes, aquells que més retuits, més
and
favorits,
we've seen
són
that
aquells que
those messages
incluïen
that are
evidències, per
often
tant ens
retweeted
aportaven
are those
dades
that
que
included
desmentien
evidence, for instance, data that
fake
try
news,
to debunk
i
any
aquells que
myths,
utilitzaven un
and
llenguatge
those
que
which
des de les evidències
used
parlem del llenguatge del desig. Són aquelles narratives alternatives que frenen
specific
violència, són
language
aquells que
where they try to
rebien
prevent
més posts,
violence. Those were the ones that
que
received most
creaven
posts and
comunitat
comments.
i que feien d'escut
They
protector cap a
try
les
to
víctimes
build a
al
community to
visibilitzar
become a
altres tipus
protective
de discursos.
shield by
Un exemple
giving
és aquest
visibility
que
to
està
other types
parafrasejat,
of
sí? No és exacte
discourses.
per
For
no
instance,
poder-lo detectar,
here you
sí?
have an example.
Respondre a les
Uh,
normatives europees. I
this is a
fixeu-vos,
message that
és
has
un
been
cas
re-edited, and
d'antigitanisme que va
they
haver
talk about
d'una nena
anti-Gypsyism at
tema
school.
de negligència escolar i
There was
que
neglect
no
at
van
school.
informar a la família
The
i la
family was
família
not
les
informed,
famílies van estar enormement
and
criminalitzades. Sí?
the
La
families
denúncia
were
d'aquest fet,
penalized.
fixeu-vos, rep
This was
uns 64
reported.
retweets, uns
There were
84
64 retweets,
likes, agradaments, sí? Per
84
visibilitzar
likes,
el que són
and the idea
posicionaments
was to give
valents i
visibility to
apestants davant
some more
en aquest
brave
cas, l'antigitanisme. Sí?
positioning.
Per tant, quin camí volem seguir,
So,
quines eines
what's the path
disposem?
we choose to follow? What tools do we
Alguns
have
elements
available for us?
que estàvem
Some
plantejant, i per això ja no
tools
m'allargo
that
més,
we were looking at, and I
necessitem en les
will not
narratives
dwell into
alternatives
this any
aportar
further,
evidències per desmentir
are
i
alternative
visibilitzar
narratives.
experiències
We
positives.
need evidence to
Quan responem
debunk
a
some
un post
fake
en
news,
línia, doncs
positive
hem de
evidence. Whenever
valorar quants
we
seguidors té,
answer
si té
a post, we
pocs o
need
molts,
to
si té molts,
assess how
és
many followers
necessari
they
dins
have.
del
If
seu
they have many,
pressupost
it is not
contestem,
necessary to answer from their own
des del
post. We
nostre
can
temps
answer from
una
our
captura de
own
pantalla i contestar per no donar
user
visibilitat
to do
al seu entorn.
a screenshot
Si en
and
té
to avoid in
pocs,
that way
no cal ficar-se
giving
no,
more
amb aquesta
visibility
baralla
to
perquè la
their
pròpia poc
tweet,
seguiment
or
ja
to
deixa
avoid
d'indiferència.
joining this
Sobretot,
discussion. If
amb
there's
totes
no
les
response,
evidències, doncs,
there's more
emocions
indifference.
d'empatia
So
sobretot
we
cap a
need to
aquelles
appeal
persones sense
emotions and
ànim
empathy,
de
especially
haters. A
for those
vegades
who are
no
followers of
començarem un
haters,
moderador
because
professional,
sometimes
però té molts
we are
seguidors
not facing
dubtosos
a professional hater, but they have doubtful users, people who, with a non-insulting tone and with evidence, might be led to doubting and to even changing their mind. Another way to position yourself through likes or through retweets, you can also answer privately or with private message, or to position yourself through the mechanisms contemplated in the very platforms. And whenever one answers, it is important to create a sort of a network to have this protective shield, so that whenever you receive comments, this protective shield will leave the hate speech in a minority position. Occasionally, for instance, in video games, evidence tell us about the possibility to create an avatar, never replacing somebody else's initiative, because this could increase the safety of the person who acts and who responds. And I would like to conclude as I began, by using this quote by Ramon Fletcher, who tells us a lot about hate speech and the rights of people. And let me read it literally. Rights are conquered through dialogue, including the initial disagreements and the sometimes difficult process to reach agreements by avoiding and preventing any kind of violence. In fact, there are only two ways to organize human relations: through dialogue or through violence. And of course, dialogue is the only way to eliminate violence. Thank you.
¿Se oye? Sí, vale.
Can you hear me? Right.
Como estamos aquí,
As we are all
celebrando la conferencia final
here
del proyecto
celebrating
Roma
the final conference of the Roma Connect project, I would like to make a brief summary of what this project was all about.
Bueno, este proyecto ha
This
durado
project
2 años.
has
El presupuesto que ha tenido el
lasted
proyecto es de
for 2 years with a budget of 206,000 euros, and the European Commission has subsidized 90% of the project.
vuelvo para atrás.
Let me go back.
Este proyecto
This project
pretende
intends
contra la
to
antisemitismo,
fight
pero
anti-Gypsyism, but also to bring together many women. This project has brought together Gypsy women from Romania, Greece, Hungary, and Catalonia and Spain. As you can see,
tenemos partners, tenemos
we
socios
have partners in the project who have been involved and who have participated in the project in order to create this campaign against anti-Gypsyism called Roma Connect. We have AID from Greece,
Rumanía.
Amrita from Hungary, and the Intercultural Institute of Timisoara, Romania. We have all joined forces in this fight against anti-Gypsyism. How was Roma Connect created? Roma Connect stems from the fact that in many spaces in different entities, women who were members of this institution and from our environment, many of us have shared or have suffered discrimination in many different walks of life. And we wanted to do something so that this could be reduced, so that this could stop. With the creation of this campaign, we wanted to raise awareness in society, to appeal to the conscience of people, and to raise profile of anti-Gypsy behavior that often society deploys, very often for lack of knowledge, and these behaviors have a negative impact in the affected persons. So once we sat down to organize this project, and once we got together cousins and aunts from all these 4 countries, we decided to open up the project so that more women could also participate, so that they could feel they belonged in this project too. This is a project that included education. We did not only want to do video clips, we also wanted to understand what we wanted to raise the profile of, what we wanted to share with society. So we've had 6 different sessions that I can read out. One on stereotypes, another one on anti-Gypsyism, another one on public narratives, another one national laws, another one on European legislation. And that's extremely significant. It is very important too. But this project intends to change state and European laws. And if we want to propose changes and amendments to the law, we first need to know which laws apply to the Gypsy people. And that's why we have done some training session that is 2-pronged. Many of us learned about the laws that protect the Gypsy people, the Roma people, and we now have a tool that has an expansive spread. As we learn about this legislation, we can share this with women in our surroundings and with other cousins in the community. These are some snapshots of the training sessions we've had with the women networks that make up the project. Here we have some images of the different sessions that have been held. And let me say, we have worked together. We've also had some discussion groups, women from Romania with their own participants, Greek women with their own participants as well, and so on and so forth. And the final training session on social impact was really essential to understand how we wanted to focus our campaign, how to disseminate it, what to exactly put shed light on. This was an example of the project, and as I said, this project is made up by, I don't know the number, but by quite a number of gypsy women, even if I don't remember the exact number, my apologies for that. And these are some of the women who have participated in the project in Spain. They come from different regions of Catalonia and Spain. We have Tarragona, Amposta, different areas from Barcelona, Santander, Zaragoza, and different districts from Barcelona. Materials and contents of this project for participants. Once we had been able to collect information on discrimination situations that Roma women had suffered in the different locations where the project took place, then we decided on the structure, and we decided what we wanted to emphasize, what we wanted to make visible, and more or less the script. We also decided on the themes that each group would specialize on. There are some Roma Connect videos. You will find them in the Association YouTube channel, on our website, and in the social media. And this is more or less the impact the project had. I'm sorry if I rushed through my presentation, but these are some testimonies, some quotes by some of the participant women. Salud talked about some of the training sessions, and she said that it was not only information that she got, but she was also better armed to fight the discrimination she suffers and to stand together. She says, together we are stronger. Many Roma women working along for the same purpose, well, that makes a difference. Then Irina from Greece, she says that she's really happy to have participated in this project and that this has been extremely empowering for her, the fact that she was able to share her experiences with other women, and that she would like to extend the project a little bit further. And here's Katerina from Greece. She's the president of the Greek Mediators Association, and she also expresses her happiness about the project and the fact that she participated in the project and in the campaign video became an interesting tool to fight cliches and stereotypes, and she would like the network of Roma women to stay together. And this is about what I wanted to present. Thank you so much for having listened to me. We would like to thank you for your comments, and we will now open the floor for discussion in case anybody would like to ask questions or make any comments. Anyone here would like to make comments? Anyone who would like to break the ice? Come on, let me encourage you. Here in the back of the room. First of all, thank you so much for this fantastic project. And looking at, this project has consisted as well in teaching us how we can do better to overcome the hate speech and the anti-Gypsyism. I would like to ask Ms. Ero Santiago from Dromcotar Mestipen. I would like to ask her that, or to let her know that I have seen some pictures of what you have on your website, and besides people from Greece, Romania, and I don't remember the other country you mentioned, I would like to say that people from Spain and from other regions have participated in the project, and I would like to know if you could tell us a little bit more about this part of involvement and participation of other women, grassroots women, women who don't usually have the opportunity to be in a venue such as this one, the Saló de Sand, who are usually enclosed in their own neighborhoods. Thank you so much for your question. We have had Roma women from different areas of Catalonia, Tarragona, Girona, Barcelona, and indeed we've had women who were part of the network and who live in Santander and Zaragoza. They also joined the training sessions as well as the activity session. They proposed their own ideas that were actually very well received, and they also wanted to emphasize certain things. They explained discrimination situations where they found that they had encountered throughout their lives. These are grassroots women. These are scholars. And Roma women, most of them have not had the opportunity to study, but they have a lot to say and they have contributed to the project. I don't know if I'm answering your question with these comments.
¿Alguna persona més té alguna pregunta?
Further questions or comments?
Buenas tardes y agradecida a todo lo que estáis explicando. Pero me gustaría saber también.
Good afternoon. I'm very grateful. I come from Andalucía. There are quite a few Roma people. I would like to know if you have any group in the Granada region who could participate in this initiative, because I know many people there and it might be interesting. In this project, I was thinking that we do have women with Andalusian roots, but it is true that we have plenty of women from Andalucía, from Granada, and from Almería, and many different locations in Andalucía in the organization. Thanks. Fantastic. Further questions? Go ahead, please.
So, with this project, we created some video materials about the experience of the Roma women across the countries that are in the consortium. And one of our great concerns was that they will have to face racism online, because we see racism on the social media platforms, and I wonder if there are any instruments on how to combat them. I wonder if we can somehow ask the social media platforms to take more responsibility on how should we combat and how can we combat racism besides just reporting the content. And this is a question maybe to Lena de Botton, I think.
Can you translate for me? No llevo...
Sí, la pregunta es sobre los vídeos.
Yes, indeed. The question has to do with the video clips for the campaign that were posted online. And one of the main concerns participants had in this project was the violence they could receive once these video clips were published online. Therefore, the question was, besides reporting the racist or violent responses, the question was if there was any way to ask the social media platforms to be more consistent in responding to these violent events. Well, in theory, there is a way. We have addressed our complaints to the platform where this discrimination happened. However, so far we have not received any answers. That's what I can say. It is also true that we have joined network people sorry, the women in the network when comments were posted about those videos. I don't know how to qualify those comments. Hateful
Rechazo es que es muy suave.
comments, rejection. Well, it's too soft a word to describe what they said in those comments. So we have joined together, and all the women have reported this, and this has gone on until they have withdrawn and well, unposted the video. Maybe Elena could add something to that.
Ah, vale.
No, precisament, no? Que
Yes,
explicant quan
indeed.
les plataformes tenen els seus mecanismes
Platforms, media platforms have their own reporting mechanisms. Sometimes this is slow, sometimes you don't get an answer, but this is a clear example when the whole group has reported and has acted upon this, then the content is withdrawn. This video was withdrawn, one account was closed down, and this is a way to show that when a network is created, besides empowering people who are victims, besides strengthening these communities, a sort of a protective shield is created, and we are often able to eliminate this hate speech, this hate content. And this also discourages other people to publish hate speech posts. So it reduces the publication of other hate speech comments. And what's important is to see that once we create a network, then we see the appearance of an alternative narrative with women who do not answer this hate speech, but rather they take a step forward ahead of time, and they visibilize the positive experiences that they've had in their groups. Further questions? Thank you so much, Elena. I would like to know if through these support groups or the networks, you mentioned that there were training workshops for teenagers, especially for teenage girls. Are they given tools? Do they learn who they need to, to talk to if they are victims of this hate speech or these hate attacks? Yes. The participants in the project include girls, and very young girls actually, and they attend the training sessions and the workshops, and they learn about the laws in force and about how to report. They were told the mechanisms existing in Catalonia to report on this, and of course they are given information. And later you will see a brief summary of the videos done by all the women in the campaign, and you will see that they are very young girls who accepted and were willing to participate in these videos, and they received the training just like everybody else. We will show some videos, but let me first give the floor to somebody else who was asking for the floor in this part of the room. Thank you, Maripaz. Thank you. I wanted to ask a question that has to do with reporting. I am here speaking on behalf of the Non-Discrimination Office at the Barcelona City Council. We know that very often the Roma population are heavily discriminated, but we don't receive many reports from them. I don't know if this is something that you have discussed in the project, why, if women have talked about the reasons why they do not report, and if you have, explained mechanisms outside the platforms, because, for instance, through the Generalitat, the Catalan Government Office, or the Barcelona City Council Office, they can report this unfortunate situation, and maybe Dr. De Botton has further information from her research. Yes, and yes. We at the association, we insist upon the fact that women should report. Quite often, doing this reporting, taking these steps is difficult for them because the persons who who have to take note of their reports, they have their own prejudices, and well, we do some follow-up, we talk to her, we try to get her to report, but this is difficult because very often women don't see results for this reporting, and they often realize, or they often think, that nobody's going to pay attention to what they say. They believe that as Roma women, they will not be listened to, they will not be heard, and that they will encounter yet again somebody else who will not understand what happened to them. They will think, well, this is just normal. But we do emphasize that they should report. Of course, we tell them that even if this, well, it depends on every woman's expectations, but if, for instance, if someone mistreated me, and I would like that person to be fined or to be removed from that position or so on, well, we know that this is often not possible, and if this is what you expect, and then it doesn't happen, then you wonder, why should I go to all these pains and then achieve nothing? But we want to make it visible that this discrimination exists. We reiterate that, but it's not easy. Thank you. Maria Eugenia Gai would like to make a comment as well. Regarding what was just mentioned, we at the Barcelona City Council are aware of the fact that very often certain behaviors are have almost become normalized, and that is wrong because they are insulting, and they can be they can be punished in a certain way, but this is not reported in the criminal code, and we at the Barcelona City Council are aware of this reality, and besides the changes in the civism regulation, we're also drafting a regulation against discrimination and against hate speech, and I am sure that this will be something that will help the police authorities so that they can foresee these behaviors and they can contemplate these behaviors, because there is a certain limbo, a certain loophole that prevents us from punishing this behavior in a stronger way. And it was really important to go from this regulation for non-discrimination that will spell out all these behaviors, and it is really important to have your contribution to enrich that so that no behaviors are not listed as part of this ordinance and cannot be prosecuted by the local police, because we need to have tools that will allow us to go a little bit further. From a criminal standpoint, when you report a certain behavior that has been qualified in the law, sometimes you don't need to go into a legal procedure because it's a petty crime, it's not severe enough, but we need to express our solidarity with the people who are suffering these circumstances so that we can take one step further. I think that this ordinance, this new regulation, will be a very relevant change, and we count on your support to keep on building and keep on fighting, but having tools that would allow us to do so. Thank you so much. Elena wanted to add something. Lena wanted to add something. Yes, regarding this last couple of questions. Vero also answered very well about the importance that associations play, that education plays, and the socialization that takes place in these spaces for interaction where we can build the upstander attitude, going from being a bystander to becoming an upstander. But for that, you need a supporting community behind you, because that's very graphical, right? Why am I going to do that? And nobody's going to pay attention to me. Why should I say anything? Why should I speak out? But if you have a community, and this project is very telling, if you have a community, you have this reporting, and then this video is removed from the networks. And going back to this last couple of questions, in the field of education, some successful actions. Education, of course, is a space for diverse interactions, and they can be either violent or they can allow dialogue to prevail. And one of the very successful educational initiatives to reduce or to prevent hate speech is dialogue to solve conflicts. This is being implemented around the world. There are thousands of schools all over the world implementing this dialogue for conflict resolution, and this has reduced conflictiveness, racism, and anti-Semitism, xenophobia, and hate speech when children and adults that participate in these contexts reflect upon these violence, and they jointly define the rules that will guide them, and this community allows for these new rules of coexistence to take place by invisibilizing and isolating these behaviors that damage people's coexistence. That's a way to do so offline. You can do that online, but it's a way to build a solid community that acts as a shield to protect us from physical and verbal violence.
Thank you for all these approaches to combat xenophobia and discrimination. And now we'll proceed to watch a video on the Roma Connect project. This is a compilation of all our efforts. We may proceed to watch the video. Thank you. Stereotypes and prejudices. It makes me feel bad. They make fun of me. It's a form of racism towards Roma people. Many people ignore us. You try every day to prove yourself, show your identity. I always felt that I had to prove myself.
Egynegyede nem rendelkezik egészségügyi biztosítással. Kutatások szerint minden harmadik ember folyóvíz nélküli lakásokban él. 10-ből 1 esetben pedig áram sincs. Kutatások szerint a roma nőket elkülönítve helyezik el a kórtermekben, ahol kevesebb ellátást, minimális takarítást és szinte nem elegendő ételt kaptak. Több olyan eset is dokumentálva van, amikor a roma nőket felvilágosítás és beleegyezésük nélkül sterilizáltak.
Rengeteg probléma van a rendszerben, amit sürgősen, azonnal és maradéktalanul orvosolni kell, mert gyermekek ezzel is
Thousands of children are exposed to these dangers every day.
Minden áldott nap. Mindazonáltal, hogy jelenleg Magyarországon törvény mondja ki,
the law states that children cannot be singled out because of poverty. However, 80% of the cases can be traced back to this reason. I'm sure the kids would like to go to school much more. They'll be more successful. You'll be much better off when you see the time you put in producing results.
Yo no escuché a aquellas personas que no creían en mí y por eso ahora estoy estudiando un ciclo para poder llegar a lo que quiero ser y yo no me voy a rendir.
Mi sueño es ser historiadora y para ello necesito ir a bachillerato. Actualmente me estoy formando y estoy rodeada de gente que me apoya y en la cual me ayuda a superarme.
Gracias a otra persona que no era gitana, que me ayudó a acceder al curso, lo pude acabar con notas excelentes. A partir de ahí, hace 6 años que estoy trabajando de mediadora. También me saqué el curso de dinamizadora comunitaria, monitor de lleure, servicio a la comunidad y por último, el acceso a la universidad. Tengo 49 años, 5 hijos y 2 nietos y no pienso parar en formarme. Necesitamos gente que sume y no reste.
Actualmente estoy en un nuevo instituto, donde estoy organizando el 8 de abril y el 8 de marzo.
Every Roma woman should proudly embrace her roots, should take power in who she is and what she is. Every Roma woman needs to be treated with human dignity and respect, and Roma women deserve to be heard, deserve to be listened to. Roma women deserve power. Roma women need to reclaim that power that has been taken away from us, and Roma women deserve to have their dreams come true.
I ara ja, després d'aquest vídeo tan emocionant i tan
After watching such an exciting video, we'll proceed to the next round table, the voice of Roma women.
que moderarà la senyora Teresa
This will
Sorder,
be
professora de la
moderated
Universitat
by
Autònoma de Barcelona i
Teresa
membre de
Sorder,
l'Associació
a
Gitana de
professor
Dones
of the
Roncotarme Estipend.
Autonomous University of Barcelona and also president of the Drum Qatar Mestipen Association. I would like to ask you to take a seat.
Molt bé, doncs bona tarda, un
Good
plaer
afternoon.
estar.
It's a pleasure to be here. I hope you can hear the interpretation.
Molt bé, doncs bona tarda, doncs
Good
donarem pas a
afternoon.
l'última taula
We'll
rodona
proceed to
d'avui,
the
no? Després d'aquest vídeo
the last round
tan
table
emotiu,
after
no? I
such
tan
an
representatiu
emotional
del que hem estat
representative
fent des de l'associació Drom Qatar
video
Mestipen aquests 2
which
anys en
we
aquest
have
projecte
developed
europeu. I aquí tenim
with
una
the Drum Qatar
representació
Association.
d'algunes d'aquestes
Here
dones
we have
gitanes que han
some
format part d'aquesta
representatives,
xarxa,
some
d'aquesta xarxa
Roma
europea,
women who are part of this
d'upstanders
European network.
i
They are some upstanders.
de dones, no?, que s'han implicat
They are women who have
aquestes eines,
committed
aquesta
to this
informació
effort, that
per
have acquired
denunciar i
all
per lluitar i
this
per erradicar
knowledge
d'una
to
vegada per totes
report
el
and
discurs d'odi
to combat
en
at
contra de les
last
persones gitanes.
hate speech against Roma people.
Les aniré presentant.
I will introduce them all,
Començarem
starting by,
viatjant a Romania,
well, actually going to
la
Romania.
nostra primera intervenció, que ens
The
la farà
first speaker,
Adina Petronella
that will be
Petrovici,
Adina Petronella
que ella
Petrovici.
mateixa es presentarà,
She will
qui
introduce
és, i
herself
ens explicarà una mica
and she will
la seva
tell us a bit
experiència i
more
per què ha
about
estat
her
important
experience
participar
and
en el
why it was
projecte
important for her
Roma
to take part in the Roma Connect project.
Sunt Petrovici Adina Petronela. Am 11 copii, 11 nepoți.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Tranquila.
Don't worry. Take your time. Take your time. My name is Petrovici Adina Petronella. I have 11 children and 11 grandchildren. My apologies, I feel quite emotional, but we suffer a lot of discrimination. Where I live, there's only one bus to go to school, to go to the market. Drivers are quite vulgar. They tend to drive very fast. If we ask them to stop, they don't. They are not polite. They tell us that they are fed up with our community, that we can't afford to pay for our ticket. And they say that that's what Roma people are like. Once I was there with my son David, and we were waiting for the bus. The bus went by and completely ignored us. Therefore, we had to wait for the following bus, which went by after 1 hour. And when we went on the bus, my son was behind and got trapped between the doors. I went to speak to the driver, and then he started insulting me, telling me that I was a Roma woman, disgusting, and that if I wasn't happy, I could alight the bus. At the time, I did not feel like doing anything else. I went back home. But it was then when I decided to speak out and report this online, because we always find ourselves in this sort of situations. We are often told that there are too many Roma people in our neighborhood. Therefore, I asked to have more services, and I received a response saying that they would increase the number of buses. I also asked for the drivers to be polite and respectful, not to drive so fast and to stop insulting us. This is something that has impacted negatively our neighborhood. There aren't more buses, and we're still waiting for an answer to this issue. Let's see what happens. Thank you.
El testimoni de la Dina, no, és un de
Dina's
molts,
witness is one of many that we have seen in our project. We are aware of many other cases that have been shared by people from your neighborhood. The report was done through the Roma Connect project. The Timio Sara Institute has supported people in that neighborhood so that they can report this issue, and you are awaiting a response. But perhaps this would be the first attempt to report what was happening, because it had an impact on children. Children were unable to go to school. That's right, yes, yes. And let's hope that this is resolved, and thank you for sharing your experience.
Si us sembla, passem a les altres dues
Let's now
participants d'avui.
hear our other two participants. They come from Hungary. That is Mrs. Lorena Imbre and Mrs. Boglarka Orsos. They will share with us some examples of issues they've addressed through the project. Lorena first.
Molt bé, doncs la Boglarka.
Okay, Boglarka then. I hope you can hear me well.
Si et vols presentar primer, quants anys tens?
Would you like to introduce yourself? How old are you? So I come from Hungary, from a very small town. I go to secondary school, a high school, and I would like to share my own experience as to discrimination. When I used to go to the nursery, that was the first time that I faced racism. And then it became even worse during primary school. My parents enrolled me in the Hungarian German school. There were people from different origins. I was the only one, and my cousin, who came from the Roma people. We belong to the Roma minority, as we call it. Every morning, well, we would hear about what Hitler did, how he acted against our community. We were insulted often. And at my high school now, the situation is different. The headmaster supports us in everything. And also teachers, they are completely different to the others. That's what I can share for now.
Molt
That's great. Thank you. A round of applause.
Veiem, no?, una mica el cas de la
We
Boglarca.
have seen Boglarka's case,
Institucions educatives volen, poden
which
intervenir
help us understand and see that when educational institutions wish to intervene, these issues can be resolved, as what you said about your headmaster, right? The headmaster in your current high school, he is working so that you don't face the same issues. Okay, let's move on now to Lorena Imbre. She will tell us about her experience.
Imre Lorena vagyok.
My
Budapestre
name is Lorena. Imre is my last name. I come from Budapest, and currently the experience which I wish to share is the following. In education
egészségügyi diszkrimináció.
and also in the public healthcare system, we are exposed to discrimination.
Egy este nagyon fájt a fogam,
Once
és nem hívtuk
I
fel a
had
fogorvost,
terrible
mert úgy volt
toothache,
hogy nem akarunk heteket
and it
várni,
was during the night. I did
mi lesz a vége.
not call the dentist because I did not want to have to wait for weeks. So I went to the dentist the following day, the following morning. The nurse came out and said that, well, she actually asked me, don't you have internet to call the doctor? And I said, it's not a matter of having internet or not, it's a matter that I did not want to wait any longer because I have a terrible toothache. And she said, well, that's fine. She told me to, she told me, okay, that's fine, but you'll be the last to be seen. Eventually I was seen,
Igazából direkt
and
ráncigálták a fogam, ami igazából úgy fájt,
they were very rude. They took off my tooth. I was crying because of the pain I suffered. It was a torture. And after all this,
megkérdezték, hogy és amúgy van
they asked
pénzük
me,
kifizetni a gyógyszert, meg kaját venni.
do you have money
Erre
to
mondtuk, hogy
buy
igen, van.
medication and food? And I said, we do have money.
A fogorvosnál, az iskolában meg az történt, hogy
And
máshogy
well, that's what
viselkednek
happened.
a tanárok,
And
egyben
at
a
school,
diákok is. A tanárok
people
inkább,
behave differently
mert
towards us. Also teachers, even more so the teachers.
mondjuk kérdésem
For
van a
instance,
fogam, akkor direkt nem
when
jött
I
vissza,
have a
amikor
question
nem
during a
kérdez
lesson,
fel engem, amiközben
the
tudom,
teacher does not
mások
come to me
igen.
and they don't answer. But they do answer the questions by other students. My dream is not to have to go through all this. I would like not to have discrimination and for no one to be exposed to discrimination. Thank you for your attention.
Moltes gràcies,
Thank you so
Lorena.
much, Lorena.
Us faig una pregunta a la
I
Boglarca
would like
i a
to
la
ask
Lorena.
both
Com
of you a
creieu que
question.
projectes com el Roma Connect han
Do you
ajudat,
think
no, a
projects
que
such as
altres
Roma
noies
Connect have
gitanes d'altres
helped
països
other
europeus
Roma
no
girls in other
passin, no, per
European
aquestes
countries
experiències tan desagradables i
to
negatives?
combat these unfortunate and so terrible experiences? Have they helped?
Sokat segített igazából leküzdeni azt, hogy
Indeed, they've
ezzel
helped
ne
a lot,
foglalkozzunk, mert nincs értelme foglalkozni vele,
especially
csak nekünk lesz rossz.
how we see things. I changed my mindset and how I approach things thanks to this project.
Doncs passem a l'última
Thank you. Let's
testimoni.
move on
És
to
la Sacri Fernández Cruz,
the last
de
speaker,
Gavà.
Sacri
Ens
Fernandez.
compartirà també la seva
She will
experiència
share her experiences, her
començarà
personal
presentant-se
experience.
ella mateixa
She will introduce
i
herself
també la seva participació
and
en el
also
projecte.
she will tell us about her role within the project. My name is Sacri Fernandez. I have 3 children and 1 grandchild. Currently, I'm studying to go to university. I've also been subjected to discrimination in my life. I've been rejected because of the fact of being Roma, a Roma person. When I go into a shopping mall, and even if I don't mean to, I show the security guards that I'm going in to buy something and not to steal. We all face these situations. I don't take it lightly. And I'm not the only one. My family is also exposed to this. My cousins, when I go to a job interview, when we need to answer a survey, whenever we take part in any interview, they assume that we won't be able to finish answering all the questions. And others hide our identity so that we're not discriminated against when applying for a job. And the same applies to access to housing and education. Which of these situations is the worst? Unfortunately, all of them are. This is something we're suffering in Spain, in Catalonia, and our friends and families in the rest of Europe. Apologies, because I'm very nervous. Thanks to this project, where we work with our cousins from Greece, Romania, and Hungary, we have seen they face similar issues when it comes to work, education, and the healthcare system. This project gives visibility to rejection, to hate, and all these issues that we're facing. Offensive comments, lack of opportunities that are not given to us. All this has a negative impact and makes us question if we are worthy. And we always wonder, is it worth going shopping? Is it worth going to study? Bring greater visibility. Giving visibility to hate and these comments has an impact on our community. We talk about these real situations. Within this network, we have developed networks and we have developed tools to combat discrimination. My dream would be equal treatment, equality for people, regardless of their origin, community, religion, etc. Thank you.
Moltes gràcies, Sacri.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sacri. Now we'll open the floor for any questions, remarks, any points you would like to address.
Hola, bona tarda.
Good
A mi
afternoon.
m'agradaria preguntar-li a la
I would
Sacri
like to ask Sacri.
Quin de les coses que s'han aconseguit per ella mateixa
Many
o ella
things
dintre
have
de
been
grups
achieved,
o
or she
en el
has
seu voltant
achieved, or have
li ha
been achieved
sobtat
within
més,
the
tant
groups
perquè semblés que no es
she's
podien
involved
aconseguir
in. Which
com
ones have
perquè,
been more striking, either
perquè
because she
hagi
thought they were not going to
mobilitzat
achieve
moltes
them,
coses que semblava
or
que no
because
podrien anar
they have
enlloc i al final
mobilized many
ella i
things
el
or
seu entorn
people,
han aconseguit
and
grans coses i
eventually
estaria bé saber
they've
quines li ha
managed
sorprès
to
més, quina és la que
change
ella està més orgullosa.
the reality. Which ones struck her most, or which one she's most proud of? I'm most proud of the people surrounding me. Whenever I have a problem and I resort to the people that surround me, they help me and they help me to continue fighting for our rights. What have I achieved? Well, so far, sitting here at this table and reporting all these issues, which was a dream for me, and I'm not sure what else I can say.
Alguna
Any
pregunta?
other questions, comments?
Bueno, jo donar a totes que són molt valentes aquestes
I would
dones.
like to say that you are all very brave. I would like to ask
Aquí
Lorena.
estem parlant de dones, no?
We're
Dones
talking about
gitanes.
women here, Roman women.
Jo li voldria preguntar
And my
si
question
en el seu
is,
col·legi n'hi ha homes
in her
gitanos
school,
i
are
si
there
els tracten
Roma
igual el
boys?
professorat que amb
And
elles.
do they treat them equally? Do teachers treat the boys equally, Roma boys? the same way as they treat her?
Igen, és például
Yes. Yes.
az órán direkt
For
kiválasztotta
instance, at school,
fiúkat és lányokat a tanár, és igazából már csak
the teacher treats us the same way.
vagy hátrafordulunk, és a semmiért egyeseket ad, úgyhogy nem is csináltunk semmit.
When we think about when we look back or we look to the left or right, we are punished. And the same applies to boys, yes. So there is no difference between Roma boys or girls, it's the same.
Igual si alguna altra vol contestar, no? La
Any
mateixa pregunta que li
other
hem fet a la
person who wishes to respond to that question? Do you think there is anything in particular when it comes to Roma women, or that only applies to Roma women, or that tends to apply more to Roma women? Do you think there is anything like that?
Andina, ¿quieres?
Da, deoarece
Adina?
eu nu știu, chiar nu înțeleg. Suntem oameni, dacă animalele
Yes.
au drepturi, avem și noi, ca
And I
femei.
would like to understand why animals have rights. How come we don't have rights as women? I think the skin color or the fact that someone may be black or white, that doesn't matter. What matters is the soul, how we communicate. Whether we're Roma or not, or whether we're Roma, that doesn't mean that we cannot communicate. We are all equal in the face of God. We're not different, and therefore we have the same blood, and that's why I don't understand why Roma children and women are the most discriminated against. I still haven't managed to understand it, and I would like to do so.
Vols contestar?
Would you like to take the floor, Sakri? Would any of you would like to take the floor? Are there any issues that tend to affect more Roma women than men? Well, often you need to always justify yourself and prove that you are as worthy as anyone else. It's difficult because we are women, but also we have to prove that we can be in any position as any other woman. So there's a double burden when it comes to presenting ourselves. Other questions?
Per part del públic? Alguna reflexió?
Other questions from the audience? Some comments, perhaps? Would you like to share some experience or any activity from the project within Roma Connect? Or perhaps some memory, something that you did during the workshops, during the training sessions, anything you'd like to share? No? Well, if there aren't any more questions, I think they reserve a round of applause because it's not easy to talk about these issues. It's not easy at all. Thank you. Thank you so much. And now we'll proceed to the conclusion of this event. I hope you're all well. I feel very emotional having listened to all these speakers, and at the same time I feel quite sad about what's happening. We are reaching the end of this conference. We would like to thank all the people that are here today and who made this project possible. We would like to thank all the Roma women who took part in these joint efforts. who know no borders, or who don't understand why should Roma women be less valuable or worthy. This is terrible. I think this is terrible. And to conclude, Sara Belveida is here. She's the Commissioner for Citizens Relations, Cultural and Religious Diversity of Barcelona Town Council. And a round of applause for all the speakers.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, General Director Fernando, councillors, Minister, members of Dromcotar Mestipen, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen. We have gathered together today with a very special purpose, which is to give voice and visibility to Gypsy women, a voice that has often been that people have often tried to silence, but that will not be possible. To start with, I would like to thank the Dromcotar Mestipen Roma Women's Association for having organized this webinar at the Barcelona City Council. Opening this room for them is a way to guarantee that the voices of Roma women can be heard and that your experience are acknowledged. And this is what we have done today. We have shared together the experiences that should have never happened, but that unfortunately racialized persons still suffer. This venue is not only a forum, a meeting place, but rather a symbol of our commitment towards the recognition of everyone and the respect we pay to all women, in this case, Roma women. These problems affect us all as a society, not only Roma women. Anti-Gypsyism is something we should all challenge together, and our responsibility consists in working together to eradicate hate speech and to build an environment where everybody can live in dignity. The road ahead is not smooth, but that's why we need to pool our efforts to educate and to create spaces for dialogue where experiences can be shared and when the fight of the Roma community can be put into context. Everybody's voices count. That's why the Barcelona City Council has created a non-discrimination office, an office for religious affairs, and we're also working on enacting an ordinance, a regulation on hate crimes. And we're drafting a plan on racism for the coming 10 years. It's going to be cross-cutting and it will take into account all kinds of discrimination. This plan is something that we would like everybody to share and to feel identified with. This year, Barcelona will host the UNESCO Forum Against Racism and Discriminations, and we at the Barcelona City Council firmly believe that hate speech needs to be fought with specific actions and by supporting all of those who suffer racism on a daily basis. So that's about all. I believe we should close this event restating the need to continue this fight. We at the City Council are firmly committed to all initiatives in this quest for equality, justice and respect for everyone, regardless of their culture, of our culture or our origin. So let me conclude by thanking you for your presence and your implication in this very special event. And I am fully convinced that together we will continue working to bring down barriers and to build a present and a future that is free of all kinds of discrimination. Thank you so much.
Muchísimas gracias a la Sara Belveida.
Thank you very much, Sara Belveida. I would like to thank everyone for your participation, and please don't leave, because now we will have a toast to share your impressions and your thoughts on this important event. So have a good evening, and let me invite you to have something to drink together. Thank you.
Si podéis pasar para aquí delante todos para hacer una foto de
If you could come around, we will now take a family picture. Please come to this to the front of the room, because this is a very, very nice venue and we need to take advantage of it.